Welcome to the Unmistakably Magic Podcast. I'm RJ.
And I'm Court.
We are two lifelong fans of Disney parks and all theme parks.
Each week, we bring you the latest news from Disney parks and beyond.
Plus, this week, we'll be talking about the extra activities that Walt Disney World offers. And we're joined by a special guest,
Wade.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Glad you're here.
Always a pleasure having you.
All right, let's kick it off with some news.
Let's get into it. We're kicking off the news this week with some news out of Disney Springs. Chef Art Smith's Homecoming restaurant has opened. Menu items include Art's fabulous fried chicken, shrimp and grits, fried catfish, Mama's mac and cheese, and much, much more. The restaurant also features a grab-and-go offerings, including fried chicken and pork sandwiches. The restaurant's themed around kind of a southern Florida atmosphere. It looks pretty cool. It's right in the, I believe it's in the marketplace. So kind of in the center of Disney Springs.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always happy when something new opens up over there.
Hey, it's really, it's cool how many restaurants they're adding, and then this one sounds kind of good. Very southern, though. Very.
Yeah,
like
a lot
catfish.
Yeah.
I don't know if catfish is really my jam, but.
Well, we're from the middle of the country. So. I don't know. What do you think about it, Wade?
We were over there when we were there early June, late May, and it's just a completely new vibe.
Oh, yeah.
Like you guys were talking about, on the podcast a couple weeks ago about how it's definitely trying to bring in more, new people and bring in the locals as well.
Yeah.
That's definitely the vibe you get, is that it's not as many Disney people coming in. I mean, there's still a lot, but that they're definitely attracting the more local people to come, purchase, buy products, eat, etc.
Sweet. So we hit the hammer on the
You
we
guys
hit
are
the nail
smart.
on the head, dude.
We did it.
We
These guys
did
know
it.
what they're doing.
We're good.
We found success.
Disney World is testing automated photo locations at Magic Kingdom. The way it works is guests stand on a designated spot, press a ready button on their PhotoPass app, and a photo is sent directly to them on the app automatically with no photographers around. This is cool.
It is really cool. I mean, it's kind of the next evolution of why have somebody standing there. Especially, I've heard from some of the Disney PhotoPass photographers, they are not allowed to run those cameras really well. They run them at like really high ISOs, really high shutter speeds, and really high f-stops. So they're running, you have this digital SLR running about like a point and shoot. So there's really not a reason to have someone there other than it's nice. The interaction's kind of fun, so that'll be kind of missed.
The interaction's always nice because, I mean, they especially if you're doing a character one, like a character.
That's true. Yeah, and they add a lot more, and they're able to change heights and do other things and zoom out. So
yeah, and take a picture with your camera as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, I don't know if they're still going to be able to do that with your own camera.
Not if it's automated. I mean, unless they have like a robot arm that's put your camera here.
They're gonna have new push the talking trash cans just for cameras.
Yeah. Set your camera on me. Put it on selfie mode.
When I saw this, I kind of thought the same thing. I went two ways. One, are you going to try to cheapen Memory Maker so more people are going to buy it?
Yeah, that's true.
Because when my wife and I got engaged there, 7 years ago, got engaged, and we got the Memory Maker and to get some really cool photos. It basically became engagement photos along with a lot of other, family stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's like doubled in price since then. And, so, okay, if you're going to cut out all these employees or cast members, is that money going to be cut down to the consumer?
Yeah.
I don't see it that way.
I definitely don't see it that way.
It's going to go up and up and up every year.
Yeah. But, I mean, you'd hope.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a new hope there. But,
oh, jeez.
Here goes the Star Wars references already.
Hey.
Wow, that was fast.
You got to drop some. Always. But, I mean, I think it's cool. I'm always down for some new technology anywhere in a park or on park property. But that's just my perspective from it.
I mean, it's a lot like on a lot of the rides. I don't know how much you've seen about this, but when we were there also, that they have the video going on a lot of the rides now, too, that automatically gets added to your Memory Maker and stuff like that.
Yeah, the on-ride video stuff.
Yeah, which is really cool, especially like Mine Train and some of the ones that never really had anything coming. Good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
No, I mean, I think the memory maker is a really cool thing, and they're going to have to just keep adding to it, which is
and they're just going to push that more and more with their, especially if they're taking out photographers, because you're not going to be able to get your own picture then.
No, yeah, they're going to have to, and I would hope they drop the price, but I don't see them doing.
it's
that.
not happening.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No. Switching coasts over to Disneyland. Disneyland has received some new concept art of the highly anticipated Star Wars land. The new picture shows the Rivers of America waterfront within the land, the new track that the railroad will follow along the banks of the river. It's actually coming out of a tunnel and jumping into another tunnel, as well as a more overall look of the land, allowing us to see where the two main attractions will be located and how large this land really is.
I saw this. It looked really interesting.
Oh, it looks fantastic.
The only thing I thought of, though, is it weird that the Rivers of America are going to go into a land that's not themed to America? Because it's probably the first time that's ever really happened.
Yeah.
Because the idea originally of the Rivers of America is you have the American frontier land and then an American kind of New Orleans kind of land and Critter Country, which is still kind of American themed.
Yeah.
So now you're kind of adding a whole space feel to it, which is kind of interesting.
An outer world experience. Yeah. I don't know. I think it fits. This new concept art really shows how well it'll probably fit over there.
Yeah.
Just with the waterfront right there, because
and it's nice to use the waterfront to their advantage too.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's just another barrier that you can use. So I doubt you'll see much, if any, of Star Wars Land. You'll probably see a bunch of the rocks, the rock work, really high rock work up there. I don't think you'll see many buildings or anything if you're on like the Mark Twain or the Columbia right there. Yeah,
that was my only question. Was just it would just seem out of place to be on the Rivers of America, but then see Star Wars. But at the same time, why not use it?
Oh yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
Aliens are coming at some point, right?
It's themed Area 51.
Sticking with Disneyland, Disneyland has updated its costume guidelines for this year's Halloween party, encouraging guests to always be family-friendly and avoid bringing sharp objects. Guests under the age of 13 are encouraged to wear a costume, just no masks that cover up the eyes, while guests over the age of 14 may wear capes, themed T-shirts, and sweatshirts, and guests may bring/wear transparent wings, toy lightsabers, toy swords, and tutus, but no masks whatsoever if you're over 14. For the official guidelines, visit Disneyland.com/Halloween.
Interesting. I've always wondered, has there been an incident that has caused these changes, or is it just preempting that?
I mean, you're in LA right there, where probably one of the most densely populated areas in America. Something's going to happen.
That's true.
Someone's going to try something, and I think Disney's just kind of sticking ahead of the game and trying to keep it safe,
which is always good before anything could happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can see it.
I think that's the biggest thing is them just trying to head off these things, especially with, past 6 months, the rise of, terror attacks across the world. And just especially as they've added more, security to the front of entrances. Easier to tell people don't bring it than have to play the what if game. And
well, mine's not sharp, but it's metal,
Yep.
so is it okay? It's it's just easier to say, nope, none.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same with selfie sticks when they banned those forever ago.
Yeah.
It was great. Best move Disney's ever made in the past 5 years, in my opinion.
They don't really have any of those up nearly as much as they do in Disneyland and Disney World, though. In Disney World, there are not nearly as many signs making that clear.
Oh, Disneyland. Disneyland, when you're parking, they give you a pamphlet every time you park. I went
all about selfie sticks.
I went 10 times since they banned them, and I got one every time. And I told the guy, I'm like, I know there's no selfie sticks allowed on property anymore. Can I just not get one of these pamphlets, kind of save the earth a little bit? And he's like, no, I gotta hand it to you, bud.
Well, I mean, it became such a thing for a while there, so
oh yeah,
you have to do it.
Yeah. Sticking with Disneyland and Halloween, actually, Disneyland has announced dates for Mickey's Halloween party in 2016, which can be viewed on the Disney Parks blog, and tickets can be purchased by Disneyland annual pass holders, Disney Rewards Visa card holders, and DVC members on July 21st, and the general public will be able to purchase tickets starting on July 28th.
Oh, week in advance, that's good. They do a lot for that Disney Visa. It's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
As much as it's not really like a special membership or anything, they do a lot for it.
No, it's always nice just seeing that they take care of
their customers.
Yeah, if you invest a bit, you got it. Moving over to Florida, reservations for Epcot Food and Wine Festival premium events will be available beginning July 21st of this year. Now, I've never been to Food and Wine. but I've heard it's fantastic, and I'd really like to go sometime. And I want to know if you have to make reservations for these premium events now.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Because the only thing I've done close to it was I hit a soft opening day.
Oh, okay.
It was the day before it was officially opening, but they did a soft opening. And I just tried some of the food from all the different booths around the
I bet
little
it's
showcase.
delicious.
It's really good. So
Yeah.
I'd be interested too. I know that park attendance really ticks up during that time too. So I can imagine that maybe there would be some of these events, and I'm sure some of them are so special or so unique that you're going to need a reservation.
You have to have a reservation, otherwise you're not going to be able to get in unless you're standing in line for 3 hours beforehand.
Exactly. It's just a really cool thing to add more opportunities for them there. They did a really similar thing with the Flower Festival this year, where they had a lot of different specialty foods and things of that nature. As you guys talk about, as we talk about, the more opportunities to go in and see these things. To me, if you can make a reservation, might as well try to make the reservation.
Yeah,
right?
always. It's always worth it to make a
It's,
reservation.
it's always better to plan ahead.
Yeah. Sticking with Epcot, Eat to the Beat concert lineup for Epcot Food and Wine 2016 has been announced, and many favorites will be returning this year, like Sugar Ray, Los Lobos, and Boys to Men. New performers include Jeffrey Osborne, Living Color, and the Plain White Tees. Performances are 5:30, 6, and 8 p.m. nightly, and Food and Wine 2016 will run from September 14th through November 14th.
Oh, you forgot one.
What one did I forget?
Wing Chun.
Oh, that's true. I did forget him.
No, I loved how when they announced this, they have to tell you who these people are by telling you their one hit, and you're like, oh, yeah, that one. Yeah.
Their big hit, like Los Lobos, and then right next to it is La Bamba.
Yeah, known for La Bamba. Sugar Ray, known for...
Fly.
Yeah. And that was the same with Wing Chun. It was like, known for... Everybody Wing Chun tonight. I was like, well, okay. Is that about it? I think that's about it.
Yeah. I don't know. There's quite a few acts, and...
I mean, some of these are still pretty big. Like Boyz II Men has been around for a long time. They've had some pretty good hits, and
yeah, a few.
They've kind of come back and forth around.
And I think Big Bad Voodoo Daddy is coming as well.
I heard that too. Yeah,
they're just a fun big band to see.
I can imagine a lot of people will show up just to swing dance and stuff to it.
Yeah, swing dancing at Disney World. Who'd have thought?
I'll be interested to see also when at some point Disney's going to be able to pull in their former stars to come in and do this, and I'm just surprised that they haven't been able to do that yet.
They don't have like Nick Jonas or anybody.
Yeah, I mean, why aren't those people showing up, right?
I think they have some issues that they need to work out a little bit before they can come over.
You think they don't want Miley there either?
Oh man.
Sticking with Disney World, but moving over to Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom has announced the Savor the Savannah evening tour and dining event this week. The premium offering gives guests a 2-hour safari trek through the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, promising frequent unscripted stops along the way. Groups will have their own personal guide for the evening tour, but the main event is dinner. And this dinner sounds amazing. It's at an exclusive viewing area where guests can indulge in a selection of regional beers, wines, and specialty drinks, as well as dine on African-inspired tapas, and all in the middle of the savannah. Tickets are available for $169 plus tax per person, as well as a ticket to get into Animal Kingdom.
Wow.
It's very expensive, but I think it's pretty worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically triple your price to get into Animal Kingdom.
I would pay the $169 to not have any of those things, but to get Little Red back.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I miss Little Red.
Wow.
Oh,
now that we know where you stand on that, well, that's about it for this episode. And I don't know if you've been like on Instagram. I've been seeing a lot of videos from this now nighttime hours that are happening at Animal Kingdom.
They're beautiful.
They're beautiful, and then the lions are way more active. Because I don't know about you guys, but every time I've rode the safari, it's like the lions are just sleeping, and they're not even out or whatever.
Well, the last time that I went was Christmas a few years ago, week between Christmas and New Year's, which all parks are extended hours, just naturally.
Just because they have that many people to deal with.
Yeah, they have a ton of people, which it's very crowded. I don't know if you want to be going during that week, but it is extra time in parks, which you're going to need if you want to ride everything. But I mean, one of the big things I saw out of this nighttime stuff coming from Animal Kingdom is people riding Expedition Everest at like 8 at night and seeing. It's just a whole new ride then. I mean, roller coasters at night are, in general,
totally
way more
different,
fun. And I'm like, that's a big deal. did that like 5 times because one, there was no way because everybody leaves Animal Kingdom by 2.
Yeah.
And then
treats like a half day.
Yeah, so I got to ride Expedition Everest like 5 times at 8 o'clock at night with
That's cool.
no wait. And then, I mean,
it's just exciting to see him.
Safaris.
It's just exciting to see him bring these events and work with the nighttime hours now more.
Yeah,
because I think that park is great for night, and it's just
yeah.
been underutilized in that aspect.
Yeah, it's beautiful at night. It's got some of the best lighting at Disney World, especially at night, and it's something to look at, and you need to go experience it at night if
Also,
you can.
some of the most underrated restaurants that then you don't get a chance.
Oh, yeah.
That I don't feel like we ever get a chance to go eat at because same thing. We're ready to leave
like
by 2, 3, and no Flame Tree Barbecue, Tiffin's, Tusker House. I mean,
yeah, they got a
it's
lot.
A lot of missed opportunities. It was a lot of missed opportunities.
Yeah,
before they started kind of extending the hours now.
Yeah, which is fantastic that they're doing that, and I'm always glad to spend more time in a park. Moving over to Busch Gardens, Tampa, they've announced that Circus of Superstition, The Last Laugh, will be coming to Howl-O-Scream 2016. Previews of Howl-O-Scream begin September 23rd and 24th, and the event officially kicks off on the 29th of September. This one, it's a 3D Halloween maze.
3D, like you have to wear goggles?
Yeah, like you wear glasses throughout
Wow.
it. I mean, I've been through a few 3D mazes. I don't know if either of you guys have.
No.
But I'm not a big fan of them just because their main kicker is jump scares because you can't really tell what's coming out at you, and then just
it's 3D.
Boom, a live actor kind of pops out. And,
yeah.
Which, I mean, it's exciting that this is coming. It's always exciting seeing some new announcements out of this park because we don't get a whole lot from Busch Gardens.
True. You don't hear a lot about it.
No, but I mean,
occasionally a new ride or something, but nothing.
Yeah, like Cobra's Curse. There's some big deal about that, but I don't know. It's something new coming to this year's Howl-O-Scream, and that's always appreciated. Over at SeaWorld, SeaWorld Aquatica, actually, sorry. SeaWorld Aquatica Park has announced that Islands Nights will return this summer, starting at 5 every Friday and Saturday night from now until August 6th. Guests can enjoy a live DJ, happy hour, and special offers on food and beverages, including $2 off beer and wine, and half-price souvenir cups, and extended park hours until 8 p.m. This is basically just Aquatica encouraging people to do what Disney's doing at Animal Kingdom, which is stay late,
stay later,
and hang out at a water park for a little bit.
It sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, I'd like to ride a speed slide at 8 at night.
Kind of cool.
You know, sun going down or sun is down, and
yeah, I'd do it. Yeah,
I'd have fun with it.
There's no additional cost or anything to it? It's just
no. This is included with
it's just literally just extended hours.
Yeah, it's extended hours, live DJ and happy hour at Aquatica. I think it sounds like a good time to me. The Pokemon Go craze has hit the theme parks, and SeaWorld Orlando and Busch Gardens Tampa have embraced the craze and are hosting their own events. On July 16th, both Busch Gardens and SeaWorld will be placing 50 lures around the park throughout the day. SeaWorld will have its lures out from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., while Busch Gardens will have theirs out from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Check out their Facebook for more details.
It's interesting because we were talking about this a little before we started the show, this whole Pokemon Go craze, and it's interesting to see a park embrace it, as I think a lot of other places have tried to kind of discourage it. I haven't seen Disney World really discourage it, but
I know Legoland Florida has been, they posted, hey, make sure, like, you can play Pokemon Go in our park. We have no problem with that. Just make sure you're staying where you're supposed to stay. Like, don't go backstage. Don't go hitting into our Lego models.
Yeah.
Don't be knocking anything over. Don't be jumping in areas you're not supposed to be going into.
I think that's the biggest thing. You kind of hear the horror stories of people walking into traffic or falling into lakes or, because you're not paying attention. Or I heard a few stories of people trying to sneak behind the scenes in Disney World or things like that too, trying to get them. And it's like, play responsibly. I guess is probably
climbing into
thing.
Ride areas and things like that.
Yeah, it's like, no, you gotta be smart.
You just gotta use your noggin a bit. Come on, it's not that hard. Sticking over in Florida, but moving over to Universal, Skull Island: Reign of Kong officially opened up in Islands of Adventure at Universal Orlando.
All right,
this is a really cool ride. I don't know if you guys have seen the on-ride videos.
Not yet.
No. I'll have to watch them.
It's gnarly. It looks pretty sweet. It is another screen ride, which you guys know my opinion on screen rides. I hate them, think they're a little bit of a waste of space. But they have a killer Kong animatronic at the end, and it's
cool.
life size.
Well, that's good. At least they're mixing it's not
a
just
little bit more
all-screen.
than they have been in the past,
That's
which
good.
is always awesome.
That's good.
Sticking with Universal Orlando, they have introduced My Universal Photos service at both parks. The new service is replacing the old Universal Photo Connect and now offers 2 options, a 1-day photo package and a 3-day photo package. Both include unlimited digital downloads of a theme park photos, a themed lanyard, and discounts on in-park photo products. Additionally, the 3-day package includes 1 free 4x6 print, 1 free 5x7 or 8x10 print, and additional print discounts in the parks. So they're really trying to push this photo op or
Do we know what it
service.
costs?
They haven't put that up.
Okay.
I didn't see it when I first wrote this.
Okay.
I'm sure they have it uploaded
They
somewhere.
may not, yeah.
Just check Universal Orlando's website.
I feel like either way, you really have to utilize it. Like, you have to kind of seek it out.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
you know, if you see one, stop and get a picture. You know, even if you're not going to use it or whatever, just utilize it.
just do it. Yeah. Which at Universal Orlando, I haven't seen a whole lot of people out taking pictures that are hired by Universal.
It's definitely a lot. It's definitely a lot less than Walt Disney World or Disneyland, where you
significantly
see
less.
there's 12 of them down Main Street, and they're all ready to take your picture.
one on every corner.
Well, in Disney World, like the time we did it, it's the same thing, right? We were there for 2 weeks, and so that allowed us to, anytime we were in the park, we can take the time to stand and wait, even if it was a little longer. But Universal, which isn't usually as a many-day stay as Disney parks, I think they're just struggling there with this idea of we're just going to offer a 1 or 3 day package versus like this all-encompassing thing.
Yeah, I'd be more interested in like a unlimited, however long that may be, or this trip.
But
doesn't matter how long.
Their old one, Universal's Photo Connect, used to offer 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, all the way up to I think it was like 7 day, a week long.
Okay.
If you're spending a week at Universal Orlando,
I don't know what you're doing, but
you have way too much time to kill. Go to a national park. Sticking with Universal over at Orlando, Universal's Sapphire Falls Resort opened up this week. The Caribbean-style resort brings the total on-site hotel rooms to 5,200. Boasting 1,000 rooms in itself, this resort has a beautiful modern tropical theme to it, the largest on-site pool complete with water slide, a full-service Caribbean-style restaurant, and a separate tavern. This resort is beautiful looking. I just saw some pictures today, and it is rivaling what Disney does with its deluxe resorts right now.
really,
Yeah, it is beautiful throughout there.
it is interesting because I feel like Universal up to this point, a lot of their resorts were moderate at best
Yeah,
compared to Disney. In Disney terms,
what was the most recent one that they opened up before this one? It was
it was like
the
the 60s kind of
60s style
themed.
one.
Yeah, what was it called?
I forget the name of it, but I thought that looked pretty cool. I always loved throwbacks to 50s, 60s stuff, 60s era.
But in terms of amenities and style, it was
a moderate.
It was
at
a
best.
moderate at best, and possibly a value kind of Disney style.
Yeah, I mean, if you stay at Art of Animation, you're getting the same thing you are there as you're doing at pretty much any Universal resort.
Yeah. So it's just good to see. I think for Universal's sake, they're going to have to kind of step it up if they want to bring in these long-term.
Yeah, and
visitors.
that rumored, was it 6th hotel, 5th or 6th hotel?
That's what we were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. I mean, I'm excited to see what they do with that, because if this is any sign of it, it
could even be better.
Yeah, they're gonna amp it up for that one.
Yeah, as they should.
Moving back to Disney, but sticking in Florida, Early Morning Magic is coming to Hollywood Studios. This hard ticket event will be available from August 1st through September 30th, and will give guests additional ride time on Star Tours and Toy Story Mania, as well as character meet and greets with Olaf, Mickey, Woody, and Buzz. The event starts at 7:45 a.m. with all-you-can-eat breakfast from 8 to 10 a.m. at the ABC Commissary. Commissary. My apologies. The event will cost $69 per adult and $59 per child, ages 3 through 9.
Interesting. I mean, that's kind of a dead time of the year, though, for those parks.
Yeah, which I think is why they're doing it, to encourage people to, hey, we're going to give you unlimited breakfast for 2 hours.
I mean, almost
rides.
for that price, that breakfast is almost.
Yeah.
Granted, the ABC Commissary is very much kind of a counter service breakfast.
It's not a great breakfast. option. Maybe they're going to do some different things though for it.
I wonder if they're going to bring us a different menu.
Step it up a bit. I don't know. I paid $70 just to ride Toy Story Mania 5 times in a row.
That is true. This does give you an opportunity because that ride is hard.
It's not nearly as bad now that they opened that third track. That third track has really. When we were there, I don't think it was wait time over 45 minutes that we saw.
Nice. That's awesome.
And
it was
astounding. Yeah, it was really good. That I don't know if the line was ever outside. The queue there is both in and out.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever not waited in that outside queue.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because we've gone in the fall before when it's pretty. The parks are not very busy, and it's still an hour or more wait for Toy Story Mania. So if this gives you the opportunity to ride it a couple more times, and obviously the third track has helped, but
yeah, and I've stayed at some Disneyland hotels, and we've just through extra magic hours. They do them in the mornings over there, only the mornings over there. And we headed over to California Adventure one day, and we walked right up to Toy Story Mania, didn't get off of it for about 6 times, and we rode the ride 6 times. Our arms were about to fall off, but we had a blast.
I forgot how much of a workout that little pull string is sometimes.
It can be brutal. Sticking with Hollywood Studios, Pizza Rizzo has been officially announced this week. This 2-story quick service restaurant is replacing Pizza Planet and will be opening in Muppet Courtyard this fall.
I still want a Pepe the King Prawn restaurant though. Seafood.
Only serve shrimp.
Yeah.
More Muppets, the better.
Absolutely.
100%. I'm glad that this whole Muppet Courtyard is actually official and very, very much so happening, at least for now until we probably get Star Wars Land, and then we might see it kind of knock out. But I'm glad. I love the Muppets. They're some of my favorite characters. I'm really glad that Disney acquired them, and I do like what they're doing with them, especially in the theme parks. And I really hope that they're coming to Liberty Square like we said on our last episode.
That would be awesome.
That'd be fantastic.
It's really cool that they're expanding them. And it did seem odd to me that Pizza Planet is over there in the park where you have Toy Story, the actual movie from which Pizza Planet comes from, on the other side of the park. So this could be also a sign of maybe a possible restaurant coming to Toy Story.
That's true. Over in Toy Story Land, another restaurant that we didn't see before, or an updated Pizza Planet restaurant.
Maybe right the actual with the rocket out front and the claw machine full of the little alien. The claw.
Bunch of little LGMs walking around and stuff.
The claw. A bunch of old Toyotas sitting on the parking lot.
It'll definitely choose me to stay.
Club Villain will be making a return to Hollywood Studios beginning on September 2nd. Reservations, while not required, are recommended and can be made up to 90 days in advance. Tickets are currently available and can be purchased for $129 per person. This event does require separate admission to Hollywood Studios, which isn't included in that $129 ticket price.
Wow.
So Club Villain, it's basically like what they do over at California Adventure with the Mad Tea Party, but in a separate area
with villains.
With villains, and you get a ton of meet and greets, and I think they're just hanging out around there, aren't they?
Yeah. The more opportunities to meet the villains, that's one thing my wife always talks about also, and we always think about when we were little and the characters walked around so much more than they do now.
Yeah.
That these hard ticket events, opportunities to meet characters that you don't get to see a lot of time, that's worth the price, I think, especially for kids of age who are interested in the villains, if they're not going to be scared by them, is maybe worth the price itself.
Oh, yeah.
No, yeah, anytime you get extra meet and greet time, plus just anytime it's an exclusive event at the parks, are cool. It's cool. And
it's just cool in general, yeah.
I'm assuming this probably has a stage show and some other things going on. So
yeah, they got.
And if you're into villains or your kids are into villains, absolutely, it's fun.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure they have some music bumping all night and really get you going throughout the entire night, dancing with some villains. That just about wraps it up for the news this week.
All right, we'll be back with our main topic. All right, now we're on to our main topic. If you remember, we ran down the top 5 things you need to know before you go.
Disney World edition
last week in episode 2. Well, this is episode 3, and we're going to kind of break it down even farther. And this week, we're going to kind of talk about the extra activities that Disney World has to offer. And so we have a special guest. Court, why don't you introduce our guest?
Yeah, this is our guest, our friend, Wade. He's a friend of the show. He's liked us on Twitter, like all of you guys should, at Unmistakably Mag. He's been going to Disney World quite frequently, I'd say.
Yeah.
How many? What are you up to right now?
I think we've been 7 times in the last 10 years.
Okay, so you frequent this place a lot more than we are able to, for the most part. And
I've been 3 or 4 times in the last 5 years.
That's better than me. I've been like twice. But you do a lot more than what we do when we go. Because when we go, we basically exclusively do the theme parks, right?
That's right. The 4 parks and maybe a visit to Disney Springs.
Yeah,
used to be downtown Disney,
visit to Disney Springs and maybe hit up another resort or two. But you go to water parks.
Yes.
How many times do you think you've gone to all the water parks?
So we've done, I was trying to do the math. I think we've done Blizzard Beach 8 times and Typhoon 2 or 3.
Okay.
And we'll talk about
in the past,
as we get deeper.
Yeah. In the past few years, though, and like say the past 5 years,
So
have you gone?
Past 5, I'd say we've done Blizzard 6 times.
Okay.
And then Typhoon once or twice in those times.
And
too.
that's just visits total, right?
Visits total.
Okay. And then
Yep.
you do mini golf with everything as well.
Do mini golf. You guys were talking last week about the pontoon costing $1,000 on July 4th.
Yeah.
We actually did a boat. We've done boat rides a couple times.
Oh,
actually,
really?
for Wishes or for the fireworks once. So yeah, a couple cool things to talk about.
So you're our go-to guy for the more of Disney World. How does that feel?
I feel good. I mean, I'm sure there's someone out there better that's probably, hopefully, watching the podcast that says that I don't know enough either. But you know, like we talked about, that means you guys have made it.
Yeah, that means
that's
we're doing
exciting.
something right. Well, let's get started then. We're going to jump into the water parks first, and I want to say a little bit about the cost because that's probably the first thing that limits people with this type of stuff. So if you're only going to the water parks, it'll be $60 for an adult, which is anybody over the age of 10, and $54 for a child, which is anybody in between the ages of 3 and 9, for no blockout dates. With blockout dates, which is basically May 28th through August 28th of this year, which is basically all the summer season, it'll be $55 for an adult and $49 for a child. And with the purchase of a water park ticket, you can park hop between the 2 water parks for
no
extra
I thought
charge.
it was a single. Wow.
No, so when you buy one water park, you can jump over to Typhoon Lagoon, which I don't know how close they are exactly. Do you know how close they are, Wade?
I mean, by distance, I'm not sure.
But like bus ride or something.
Well, so bus ride, you know, we'll talk a little more specifically transportation obviously later,
yeah.
but you'd be looking at bus ride and you'd have to go from, you know, one park to a resort and then back.
Okay.
To do that, there's not a direct transfer.
They don't have one from Blizzard Beach.
They don't have a
Typhoon.
Blizzard Beach to Typhoon, as far as I know.
I feel like I've been riding on a bus by there in peak season. Granted, so it was probably they were pushing people over between the 2 water parks, and I thought I saw one coming out of Blizzard Beach heading over to Typhoon Lagoon. Typhoon Lagoon on its
might have,
go-to.
you know, a lot of those resorts run both a downtown Disney or Disney Springs now,
Yeah.
and Typhoon Lagoon bus, and so they might have one that's doing both runs there.
Okay.
But if we want to talk, you know, kind of transportation / because that's almost part of the cost, right? The cost of
yeah.
the time, at least.
Yeah. Which I do want to say one more thing about cost before we jump into that stuff. So if you're purchasing it with your theme park tickets, so you're already going to Disney World and you already bought your theme park tickets, you can add on Park Hopper, and you can add on beyond that is Water Park and Fun and More. Water Park Fun and More option. So the Park Hopper is going to run you $55 for 3 days or less and $69 for 4 days or more. And the Water Park Fun and More option will run you $40 additional for 3 days or less and $26 additional for 4 days or more. And yeah, that's the main price in that one.
Yeah, and the more is there, you know, the Water Park Fun and More counts water park admission, counts mini golf opportunities, counts the Oak. I think it's Oak Tree golf course, which is a 9-hole golf course. Doesn't include a club rental, though, which I think is another $40 for I think what they call like standard clubs, and like $100 for high quality clubs.
Okay.
Wow.
Also
includes admittance to the Wide World of Sports, which sometimes there's some really cool tournaments going on. When we were there a few years ago, there was like an international soccer tournament, like
sweet.
warm up that we got to go check out. We got there really late and didn't really see anything, but we kind of saw players, leaving the field and stuff. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and I know they do spring games over there for baseball as well.
Yeah, for baseball, that's one thing I've always wanted to do. Grew up a Braves fan, and Braves have done their spring training. Did their spring
every
training
year
there for
right?
a long time.
Yeah.
So that's something we've always wanted to do, as well as until it closes in the Water Park Fun and More. Also, Disney Quest.
That's true.
Edmonds has been a part of that.
Yeah.
And so that's a big piece. But so basically, when you do that package, you get one admittance per day of the theme park ticket.
So you can is that one admittance to, like, say I want to go to Blizzard Beach and then later in the afternoon go to Disney Quest? I can't do that?
No, you can do 2, but that counts as like 2 punches, I guess, should be a better way to say
so
it.
it's
So you
almost
get like
a punch card.
Yeah, it's like a punch card, and you get one
Okay.
punch per day that's added up on your
So if you're going
ticket.
for a 6-day trip, you get 6 punches, and so you could bounce between theme park, mini golf, blah blah, and punch your 6 tickets
And so
in a day.
Yeah, and so we'll talk a lot about as we get into kind of how we plan out the day, depending which one of those water parks we're going to.
All right, well, do you have anything else you want to add right there?
I guess if we want to jump to transportation, since we've kind of already like dabbed in it.
Yeah,
we can do that. We can do that.
Because once again, kind of the part of the cost. So when we were we didn't do Typhoon Lagoon this trip, but we did Blizzard Beach, and one of the things we were really interested by was that they've cut down on the bus options to some degree.
Have they just reduced the amount of buses
they've
running?
Reduced the amount of buses running to Blizzard Beach. So you have to take one for a lot of the resorts to Animal Kingdom, and then from Animal Kingdom, or vice versa, depending if you're going or coming.
Yeah.
Go somewhere, pit stop at Animal Kingdom, whether it's on the going or coming back.
Okay.
I can't remember it. Most of the deluxe resorts, I think, had their own bus still, and I think some of the resorts that were further away, but like the All Stars, which are right there in the Animal Kingdom area, they didn't have their own bus.
They didn't have one? That makes no sense to me. I mean, you're the closest resort over there is all the value resorts, so might as well quick 5-minute bus ride over there.
I mean, and really, it wasn't that big of a deal to have to stop at Animal Kingdom. Got off the bus
right
and
across
took
the street from each other. So
it wasn't a big deal.
Nothing bad.
So yeah, that was the big part of the transportation. Same thing, like we already talked a little bit when you're going to Typhoon Lagoon, that some of the resorts have a co-shared system with Disney Springs.
Okay.
I didn't do, like we said, we didn't do Typhoon Lagoon this last trip when we went in May and June. So I'm not sure exactly how it's looked different with the Disney Springs buses. We didn't pay as much attention since we weren't there as long.
That makes sense. So that's transportation. Is that just about everything that we need to know? Is some resorts, depending on what you do, on where you stay, you're gonna have to spend a little bit more time getting to the park?
Getting to the parks. One thing, that I know a lot of people are doing now too is using, some of those off, not getting their own rental car, but using some of those rental car services. If I don't know if we want
Uber and Lyft.
Yes, like Uber and Lyft. I wasn't sure.
The ride share.
I wasn't sure. Ride share.
We've
type
mentioned
companies.
Have we mentioned Uber on here or Lyft or something?
I don't know if we have yet, but we've definitely talked about it.
Yeah,
and how it's making its kind of way into the parks and as an alternative transportation.
We used it as an alternative, not for this, but to get to another resort for a dining event, actually, which we can talk a different time. But I mean, super convenient.
Is it?
And I don't know how many times you've used Uber at all, but there are so many people making tons of money that this is another lucrative opportunity that I think Disney is missing out on. I'm actually somewhat surprised that they haven't looked into doing some type of ride share system and contracted it
just within Disney World.
That is just having guys drive around Disney World.
So if people are there at Disney and get on this podcast and talk to us about what that might look like.
Yeah, we got some business ideas for you. So your main go-to, if you don't want to pay anything extra, is your only option actually is buses. For water parks, and same thing for like mini golf stuff too. You got to get to some resort area.
Same thing for mini golf. So mini golf, there's 2 main courses, or 2 main places, and they each have 2 courses.
Okay.
At Winter Summerland, which is connected right to Blizzard Beach. So if you're going to Blizzard Beach, what we usually do if we're going to do Blizzard Beach is we do Winter Summerland that day too. And there's 2 courses. One's winter, one's summer.
Okay. And is it one punch per course?
One punch per course. So let's say you go to Blizzard Beach and then you want to play winter, you want to play summer. It's going to take up 3 punches.
That's 3 punches in one day right there. Okay.
That's 3 punches.
Can you only play one game, or is it unlimited mini golf?
It's one game. But if we look at the cost, so if we kind of want to dabble in that too, the cost to do the mini golf at any of the courses is $14. So if you do for one round of 18, so if you add that up, if you even just did 2 rounds of mini golf and you've done a water park fun and more, you're going to pay for...
As long as you're staying 4 days
As long as you're staying 4 days or more, you're paying for that water park fun and more with just even 2 rounds of mini golf.
Wow. Yeah,
without even getting into a water park.
Yeah, that's not bad.
So then the second course is Fantasia Gardens, which is located right next to the Swan and Dolphin over around like the boardwalk area around Hollywood Studios.
Yeah,
and such.
over by Epcot.
And so over by Epcot, Hollywood Studios, a little closer to Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, just a bit.
Where it's located. And so if you want to do that course, you have to get the Swan and Dolphin. So whether that's, once again, using some type of ride share, if you want to do that. For us, we usually are either at Hollywood Studios or Epcot, and we'll take the boat over and just ride it over, since they don't have the bus system from there to Swan and Dolphin, even though they're testing it now a little bit, actually.
Yeah, they just added some new buses to their fleet, which I read that, and I'm surprised that you're saying that they're taken away from the water parks.
It's
that's probably what they're doing. They're just taking some buses from over here and putting them over there.
So we ride over, from one of those 2, or if you're coming from a different park, obviously we usually go when we're at one of those 2 parks, Hollywood Studios or Epcot, ride the bus back to the Swan and Dolphin, even if that's not your home hotel.
Yeah.
If you're staying on property, even if you're not staying on property, you still can use the bus systems. They don't know.
Yeah, regardless of where you're staying.
Yeah, and then it's a short, I think, like maybe half-mile walk, not even, from one of those resorts. It's pretty close, but those resorts are fairly big, and where the drop-off points aren't perfect for it.
Yeah.
And then over there's 2 courses. One, a more traditional mini golf course, and then the second...
So like your classic kind of medieval theme-esque?
Okay, it's Disney themed. It's themed to Fantasia.
Okay.
So lots of, Sorcerer Mickey around and all kinds of other...
lot of topiary stuff.
A lot of topiaries and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then the second course is what they call like a fairways mini golf course. And so rather than having a bunch of, not windmills and stuff because it's Disney, but stuff to like hit through as much, it looks more like a real golf course, but you're just playing putt-putt on it.
Oh, so it's kind of like if you went up to a mountain town up here in Colorado and you just go up and say Estes Park or something.
Sure.
Just that same type of, just you got some green in front of you, you got a hole at the end, hit it in there.
Well, I mean, but it looks...
It looks better. Obviously.
And there's like to the side, it'll be like, oh no, there's actually like a quote fake bunker, and it's textured, felt differently. It's a little thicker, so it's harder to hit through.
Okay, yeah.
And so it's pretty cool. We like to. That's arguably our favorite.
Really?
And when I say our, I mean mine and my brother-in-law's, mother-in-law and wife. Definitely like to do the more traditional ones over specifically at Winter Summerland.
Okay.
But yeah, all of them are great. A lot of fun.
All right.
Good to hear.
Yeah. Hey, so now that we've been over the mini golf a little bit, we can dive back into that if you think of something that you want to add on to that. But let's jump into the water parks right now.
Okay.
And my big question is, well, one, we have a fantastic water park here in Colorado.
Waterworld. Actually, just looked up the ticket when we were talking about ticket prices. I looked at the ticket price just to see out of curiosity. It's $41 now for an adult.
That's a little steep. Unless you know a lifeguard, then they can get you $20 tickets.
Or you live in that water district, whatever.
That's
because it's owned by whatever water company.
Yeah, it's owned by that company. So I think that's like $10, $15 maybe.
Yeah, it's actually really cheap.
Yeah,
as long as you have a billing address in that.
It's almost as cheap as having like a neighborhood pool.
I know.
Oh yeah, which is
it's kind of what the idea is, but yeah, it's huge.
But they have a ton of rides over there.
Really themed rides, yeah.
Excellently themed. They have they have a Journey to the Center of the Earth ride that has some audio animatronic dinosaurs in there, and it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So this is my standard for water parks, personally. How does Disney do compared to that? And for people who don't know what Waterworld is, how does Disney do just overall?
So if we're going to compare to Waterworld, obviously if we're looking like at a one-day price, cheaper to go to Waterworld. But
yeah,
once you're
I don't care about price.
I know you're not worried about price. No, yeah. I know, but I mean, I think, keep pointing out. Waterworld as a park. It's been a while since I've been.
Yeah.
But I think is spread out more. It might actually even have more attractions per se than.
They claim to be America's biggest, America's best is their slogan.
I think that's partially just square footage because
Yeah.
it is all
is-
like on the side of a hill and
Yeah.
it's kind of spread out.
It's spread out a lot.
I don't think it is the biggest square footage. I think they have the most attractions.
I think they have the most attractions
in America.
And one thing I would give them credit for is, once again, I don't always go, but I know they're adding a lot of new stuff all the time because they still have a ton of area that they've bought
they're
up that they
constantly
haven't
adding a
expanded
lot.
to.
They just added like the first water coaster west of the Mississippi.
Yeah.
Like 3 years ago now, 4 years ago now, something like that.
yeah.
And they just put in new rides just about every year for the past 5 years.
Well, and I think if you go look at I forgot if it's Travel Channel or one of those, they've always ranked like top 8
Yeah.
or something like that in the world.
Yeah.
Up-
It's a good water park.
But it's not still, in my opinion, Disney standard.
Oh no, it's not Disney standard by a long
yeah.
shot.
If obviously I'm going to choose to go to one of the 2 Disney parks, but obviously yes, having Waterworld here is great. So I don't know how that answers your question. I mean, I think Waterworld does a great job.
Yeah. With individual rides,
with
but as a
individual
park
rides,
as a whole.
But as a park as a whole, I don't think that any of their Journey to the Center of the Earth is as close as it would come to competing to maybe being up in that upper echelon of like the top rides of each of the parks, whether we're at Typhoon or Blizzard.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I think it would compete as if we were doing like a top 5 ranking. It would be in that top 5 or pretty close
All right.
itself. But then the other rides within it, then I think don't quite match up to those other parks as much.
They don't quite hit it.
They don't quite hit it as much.
Okay. Okay. So then, for those of you who don't know what Waterworld is, how would you describe Blizzard Beach, and how good of a water park would you say it is?
How good Blizzard Beach is?
Blizzard Beach is, yeah.
Blizzard Beach is a great park. I think it's got a well-diversified group of rides
Okay.
or attractions, however we want to put it, right, for a water park.
Yeah.
From young ages, specific areas built for young ages, just like Waterworld or other water parks try to do. Theirs is really high quality. I remember being, I think, like 20 and wanting to still go do some of the stuff at Blizzard Beach because there's like a section for like toddlers and really little kids.
Yeah,
And there's
yeah.
another section for, kids, I think like under 48 inches or something like that, and really wanting to be under 48 inches because there was some cool stuff to do in that area.
Nice.
Yeah, we definitely got some looks when we tried to do it by the lifeguards and parents.
I mean, you have a kid coming on the way, right?
I have a kid on the way, and
so
I'm
might
a paying.
be able to sneak
I'm
in
a paying
there.
person. Oh, I'm going to be able to
You're
sneak in
gonna be
there.
able to get in there. And,
I definitely thought about that last when we were there. I definitely thought about that. Yeah, they have some cool, fake floating like styrofoam ice blocks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen
The
it.
kids
yeah.
like crawl across and
There's
stuff.
kind of a net to hang on
Yeah,
to as
net.
they go. That does look fun.
Oh,
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
realize it was
Oh.
a height restricted.
Oh,
thing.
oh,
Now I'm
there's-
disappointed.
Yeah, it's frustrating. But no, so Blizzard does a really good job with that. So Blizzard, opened in 1995.
yeah. Yeah.
And their 3 main kind of, or I guess the theming for Blizzard Beach is obviously snowy. So basically kind of the backstory is that a big snowstorm came in. They actually created a
ski resort.
A ski resort.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise, summer.
Summer happened.
Summer happened and started
Florida.
melting.
Florida happened.
And they wanted to shut it down, but, all of a sudden this ice skater shows up, and ice skater's like, oh no, we are going to, he comes roaring down the slides.
Yeah.
And so, the theming I think is really cool and really fun.
Okay. Well, one question about theming: when are they going to change it to Frozen?
So, you talked about on the podcast last week that they're doing
The
these,
Frozen games,
the Frozen games, which I was really surprised were not nearly as amped up,
Really?
Frozen wise,
Yeah.
as I thought they would be.
It was just an activity thing.
So
that you
it
could
was
do
literally an
and-
activity thing, like once every hour.
wow.
And it would be different places around the park, and they kept up on.
Yeah, they keep score on there.
They
on
keep
the,
score
between
up
the
right
two,
next
the
to-
2 teams, like
Yeah.
red and blue. I forget the names.
I think it's
of-
orange and blue, and I don't remember
Orange, yeah.
exactly what the
names are.
Yeah, I think it's Kristoff and Olaf's teams.
Yeah,
are the
that's
two.
right. That's right.
And they just have kids doing different types of like beach and water fun games and stuff around different parts of the park throughout the day.
Yeah, I saw they were playing like cornhole and
Yeah.
just kind of yard games,
Bags,
backyard games
for
and
other
stuff,
things.
and-
Other people call it cornhole bags. Like when you're throwing the bean bags.
Who
Hey,
calls it bags?
I've heard-
people
it's
around-
very regional.
yeah,
it
it's like a
really?
regional thing.
I've heard tailgate toss. I've heard cornhole.
Yeah.
I've heard bags. I've heard this. It's very regional.
I have only heard cornhole in my
Yeah.
entire life. I
Well,
guess I don't get out a lot.
You don't get out a lot.
Apparently, you need to
Yeah,
travel
like,
to other
like you
regions.
talked about, the only places we need to know our airport codes are SNA,
DIA, and MCO.
right? But no, so that was the. I thought that was a great part of that podcast, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
When RJ tried to throw LAX and you were just like, no.
No, LAX is terrible. Never go there.
Um,
Benefits of being a fan of our podcast. You get to come on it.
Did you hear that, people? Listen, respond, tweet, quote tweets, retweet,
Do whatever you need to do to get on here.
get on.
If you have something you need to say, let us know.
So, then the three, I'd say, main attractions then that take up, you have at the top Summit Plummet, which
Is that your number one attraction?
that is my number one attraction.
Why'd you start with it then, man?
I had to start with it.
What was this, amateur hour?
Because it is amateur hour to the fullest. But when you're talking about Summit Plummet, 120-foot body slide drop, second largest in the entire nation.
I thought it was at the time of opening, wasn't it the fastest, tallest, fastest
Yes.
body slide?
It's been passed in the last couple years by Kentucky, something out of Kentucky.
Schlitterbahn?
No, it's not the Schlitterbahn. Schlitterbahn has a water coaster,
Yeah,
like a new kind of water coaster that has a bigger drop. That has a bigger drop, but it's not a free.
It's not a free
slide.
body slide. It's a tube one. Yeah.
But yeah, deep water dive at Kentucky Kingdom opened in 2014 and is technically now by a foot.
That's the one that.
By
a foot,
so close.
Yeah, and I'm not sure.
Could try a little harder.
Well, and it's funny because they
man.
opened that, and then some place in Brazil, I think it was, opened one that was like
3 feet taller.
that was like a bit. No, I think it was even more than that. Like maybe like 10 or 20 feet taller. Or
Oh,
something
really?
Like that.
Okay. So got word of that.
But yeah, so Summit Plummet, which you talked about a little bit, on the last podcast.
Yeah.
Teamboat Springs, which is a family toboggan ride, which kind of going back to my thing about, this park's really cool because it's got a wide variety. So we talked actually right about first the little kids, but then, you look at all the way up to the Summit Plummet, this huge attraction. And then you've got the family toboggan ride, Teamboat Springs. I think it's...
That's one of the ones where you get the really big rafts, and they bring it up on a conveyor belt, and you got like... How many people can you fit in there?
6 people fit in that one.
Okay.
It's 1,200. For some reason, I think meters is coming in my head that they measure it in.
That's what a lot. I mean, it's the accepted measurement throughout the world. So we gotta use it with attractions and stuff.
So 1,200 meters, which will come in handy later when we're talking about some other things. And then the other thing I think is next coolest over there is the Snowstormers and the Toboggan Racers, which are these mat water attractions where, like, single mat where you are laying face forward, holding on to the mat. Snowstormers is kind of like, think of a slalom race in skiing.
Okay.
You're in and out of these tight turns.
That's a body slide, right?
That's on the mat, on the body slide, yeah.
Okay,
You're laying on the mat.
Yeah, Toboggan Racers is a mat one. The other one, I forget the name of it. The
Snowstormers
is a body slide, or are they both mats?
They're both mats.
Oh, okay, wow.
There's also Mount Gushmore, I think, is the other one that sits right next to Summit Plummet.
Who named this stuff?
That sits right next to Summit Plummet. Is a 90-foot slide.
Yeah.
That's really similar, but people who don't want to quite go the thrill of 55 miles per hour down Summit Plummet can do Mount Gushmore. Even though there's a couple spots where it basically evens out at 90 degrees, and so you get some air time.
Oh,
and
seriously?
so it's
just a miniature version of Summit Plummet.
Basically, so it's this give and take of you end up kind of popping off the slide a little bit, even though it's not straight down like Summit Plummet or 70 degrees or whatever the accepted measurement is.
I think it's like 81 degrees last time I saw it or something like that.
It's
up there.
It's a rush.
It's up there. Yeah.
It's the other really cool thing about it that isn't a part of the attraction per se, but you can see pretty much all the other major icons from the other parks from the top of it.
Oh, really?
You can see Space Mountain, you can see the castle, you can see down to Disney Springs, you can see, Tower of Terror, you can see Tree of Life. It's kind of centered right in the middle of all of those, so you kind of look all around in like a 360 panoramic.
So you get a killer view of all these icons popping up over the trees.
Yeah, I mean, even though some of them are like, Magic's the farthest away, and so the castle...
Yeah, you got a little, like, 3-inch.
Yeah, it's really small, but actually Space Mountain looks bigger than it does because of like where it's situated.
Oh,
but,
yeah, well, where it's situated, and it's just a wider base. So,
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Naturally, and it's white, so you're going to catch a lot more of it.
But those are kind of the main attractions that I think. There's another one, the Double Dipper, which is like kind of like a tubing tube that you sit on top of and takes a big drop that you kind of race against someone else. That'd be kind of the main, I think, 3 or 4 attractions that really stand out at Blizzard Beach.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. And then do you want to hop over to Typhoon Lagoon real quick and talk about attractions
do you have any
over
other
there?
questions about the attractions over there at Blizzard Beach? Or
I think you did a really good job. I mean, we went over, it's family oriented, right?
Well, I think it's oriented for everybody.
Yeah, everybody in the family.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
that's
some
what I
for
mean
everybody.
when I say family
Yeah.
oriented. When I say family oriented, I don't mean just
Kid friendly.
yeah, kid friendly.
Yeah.
I'll say kid friendly if I mean kid
I just
friendly.
want to make sure we're all on the same page because that'll come up later. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. What about park size? Do you like the size of Blizzard Beach, or do you think it could be a little bigger, a little smaller?
I think they haven't been able to add a lot. There's no room really for them to add.
Yeah.
The way they've built the park and the way it's situated.
They didn't set it up for a little expansion. Further on down.
There's not really much room for
They're not
expansion.
going with Star Wars Land over at.
No, there's going to be no Star Wars Land or no Frozen Land, I think, located within, which, I mean, could maybe be kind of cool, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
But, so that's, I think, if there's a downside to it, it's that there's not a lot of room for expansion. With that said, I think there's plenty there to do for a water park for a day. You can get everything done in the day.
Do you think it's a full day, or would you say more of a half day or 3/4 day?
I think it's a good 3/4 day.
Okay.
So when we go there, like I said a little earlier when we were talking mini golf, we like to go usually open, which depending on the seasons, 9 or 10, until roughly 3:30, and then we get over to Winter Summerland, because we didn't say this earlier, but when you do the water park fun and more, the punches for mini golf have to be done before 4 p.m.
Oh, okay.
So you can't go later. I forgot to mention that
Oh,
part.
no.
And so usually we get out at 3:30 and go over and do that.
Yeah.
We could go back in, but a lot of times, you've been in the hot summer sun and swimming and this and
Well,
that.
you're tired, yeah.
You're ready
You're-
by 4
you'd
o'clock
be-
to go and take a little nap and
take a little 13-hour, 14-hour nap.
yeah. So yeah, I mean,
Okay.
park size, I think it's good. I think it's just the right amount at this point. I wish there were some new things to do.
And it's been forever
But-
since Disney has updated either one of these
Either of
parks.
these
The
parks.
last thing that went in was, I believe, Crush and Gusher over at Typhoon Lagoon, and that was in 2002, 2003-ish.
I don't
around
remember
there?
the exact year on it.
I know it was before Everest. But yeah, I mean, okay, one kind of opinion question. Would you like to see some Frozen get thrown into this park?
I am not the hugest Frozen fan.
Okay.
I mean, I don't. Disney did a great job with the film, and I think it's a good film.
Yeah.
I'm still sitting here waiting on so many other my lifetime favorites to be added some way a little more into the parks.
Your go-tos.
But I'd be interested to see. Frozen. It's not as much about the water piece.
No,
right? I mean,
no.
it's Frozen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd rather see, with the new film coming out this fall with The Rock.
Yeah.
Moana.
Yeah.
I could see that fitting over in Typhoon Lagoon a bit more.
It maybe could.
Not so much Blizzard Beach. I just think with the whole blizzard coming through Central
It's
Florida.
already snowy. All the roofs
It's a
already have
little
snow
snowy.
on
Yeah,
them.
you've already
Yeah.
you're already 3 steps ahead right there. So I mean, do you think they could make it work?
Oh,
over there, I
they
guess?
definitely could make it work.
Okay.
And it would probably be a good way to rebrand it to especially be even more, quote, family friendly and oriented.
Okay.
I think that the water parks themselves, though, stand as, not that the other parks, quote, major 4 don't.
Yeah.
Stand as a great opportunity for them getting locals in on a more consistent basis. I think a lot of locals like to go to the water parks if they just have a single day.
And just
one
hop
year,
in with their annual pass.
yeah,
and,
one
and
year
get
we
going.
tried to go on Memorial Day, and it was an utter disaster.
Oh, man.
We were thinking everyone's gonna use Memorial Day to go over to one of the other places, and nope,
No,
that was
not at
a
all.
bad
Everybody was at
decision.
the water park.
Not at all.
Everyone was at the water park
Oh,
that
man.
day.
And then one more question. I'm going to ask you this with Typhoon Lagoon as well.
Yep.
But with Universal Orlando's Volcano Bay being announced and constructed right now, I don't know how much of that you've seen. Have you seen any concept art with that?
Saw
or
a little
anything?
concept. Looked at it after I listened to the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Branching out a bit. I like it.
Yeah.
But do you think Disney will need to add some more? Find some space where they can just take a little path off off of somewhere. Do you think they'll need to add more to Blizzard Beach? I know they're putting a new slide over at Typhoon Lagoon, which I think we'll get to a little bit later.
I think they're going to have to. I don't know if they can or if they're going to have to rebrand some of the other rides in some way.
Okay.
You know, there's enough. I guess there's space within some of the stuff that they could add a couple things to the sides.
Kind of expand stuff a little bit.
Expand within kind of the confined area that they have. But I don't know if it would be enough at this point to maybe, quote, rival or compete against what I mean, we're going to need to see what ultimately comes out of Volcano.
Yeah,
Bay,
yeah. But I mean, the hype
we
right
only
now.
we only have concept art, but
We have
it looks incredible.
We have like 3 images. Is that it?
Yeah,
Or-
but
I
just
forget,
that
it was
that
like 1 or 3 or
one
something like
that's
that.
the volcano
the
itself
volcano,
is like
the volcano at
It's
Volcano Bay.
impressive.
Yeah.
It's impressive. So okay, so
That's
let's
how I
move
feel
on.
about
Let's-
Summit Plummet too, though. Once again, I'm just
Ah,
gonna go
that's
back
true.
there.
That's
You
true.
look at it and it's just majestic.
That might be the big ride going into Volcano Bay, into the volcano.
what?
Diving through the volcano, just a body slide, kind of Summit Plummet style, and then, you know,
Could be the world's highest, and they
It
could
could be.
take the record
They
back.
could take the record.
Bring it back home.
and then Disney will amp up.
They'll add a little section to
Yeah,
Summit Plummet.
yeah, to Summit Plummet and make it a little taller. Gotta always one up Universal.
So the other park is Typhoon Lagoon, right? And that
Yes.
one opened way
1989, I think.
okay. I think I actually went to that one as well as the one that closed,
River Country
River Country.
back in 1976. That one opened. and-
Yeah. And
Do
they
you
had-
remember anything from that? Because when I was watching the podcast, I was like, "Oh man!" I just remember as a kid seeing this and being like, "I want to go there." And then by the time I was old enough to kind of make the decisions for vacation, no longer.
I remember
existed.
it was a little gross because they used Seven Seas Lagoon water in the water park,
Which is why I got shut down.
which is
in
like
the
I
first
shut down
place.
because the health code
because
that came in and said,
water,
no, it's too gross.
Yeah, the water amoeba that exists in.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they just
Gross.
changed the law right then. And
Yeah.
it's just an unfortunate.
It was a
circumstance.
really fun water park, but it was very, very small. And you look at its footprint, because you can still see it on Google Earth if you look. It's very small compared to these two water parks.
Very small. I know it also ran into the issue that 9/11 kind of messing with finances for everybody. That kind
Yeah.
of was just a decision that Disney's like, if we got to cut losses somewhere, it's here.
Yeah, I think that's
Um,
it was like we said, the health code or whatever changed to the point where they couldn't no longer use lake water, and so
Yeah.
it was built on that. And so I can't imagine what it would have
Yeah,
cost.
they
to
didn't,
have-
and it was funny because they didn't. So basically, they went through the season in 2001, and then they didn't. They said in 2002 we're not going to reopen it, and then they waited a full 3 more years or something like that. I think till 2005 to be like, it's
It's
nixed.
closed,
It's,
yeah.
it's never
It's-
opening again.
Yeah, and now it's just abandoned, and you can go online and find people that urban explore and then get kicked out or whatever else around
And
it too.
it's still playing area music over there too, right?
Which is that and
Kinda
the island
creepy.
of Discovery that's out in that
Yeah,
middle
yeah.
of that sea lake too.
the lake right there.
Yeah.
And plug for more, if you go do one of the boating like excursions to then see like fireworks or whatever, and they take you around and they kind of show you all this stuff around Seven Seas Lagoon, they'll go through and they'll use flashlights to point out some of the critters that might be existing over in River Country,
Yeah.
which bring other events somewhat
Yeah.
interestingly to light.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, well let's jump over to Typhoon Lagoon real quick.
Let's do that.
Yeah. What's Typhoon Lagoon like? You would care to share?
So Typhoon Lagoon is what a lot of people say. They like the theming better. When you read the blogosphere, a lot of people like the theming over at Typhoon Lagoon a little better.
What do you think about the theming? Do you think it's better than Blizzard Beach, or do you think it's the same or slightly below?
I think that in terms of like quality, it's about the same. Super high quality, maybe a tiny bit better.
Okay.
I don't like the theming though, if that makes sense.
You're just not a fan.
I'm
of
not as much
the-
a fan of the theming. This idea that a tropical storm came through and ruined.
Well, it's more than a tropical storm. It's a tropical storm, an earthquake, and something else all happened at the same
okay.
time.
So a bunch
Sharknado?
of
Was there a
natural
Sharknado?
natural disasters ruined some Florida vacationers and people's homes.
a bit of
and now
of Disney World.
And now you have Mount Tilly, this shrimp boat, you have the Miss Tilly sitting on top of Mount Mayday, this shrimp boat that got washed up atop.
Can we take a minute and appreciate these names?
The
Mount Tilly.
puns in these names. It's just
Oh,
killer.
it's
in
classic.
both of these water parks.
It's classic Imagineering. I need to go to these water parks to see these. and experience them.
Yeah.
And just all the different names
true.
or everything.
No, but Typhoon Lagoon, in terms of theming, in terms of, the layout of the park, same thing. I think it's a good size, just like Blizzard Beach in terms of spacing of where different attractions are located.
Okay.
We didn't talk about it for Blizzard Beach, but I think also the wide variety of places that you can find to sit. I think that's one thing, going back to if we're comparing to Waterworld.
That is absolutely a
one
downfall
one
of
of
Waterworld.
the big problems for those who haven't been to Waterworld is you have to be there within probably an hour of opening to get a chair or a...
If you want any bench in any way, shape, or form, if you
And
do
that's
not
not
want to
assuming
sit
for
on,
any shade either.
Yeah.
No, if you do not
you better
wanna
be
sit
there
on any-
early to get shade.
if you don't want to sit on grass, you got to get there at least an
Yeah.
hour before park opens.
And there's a ton of space to lay out, to be in the sun if you want to be covered by shade if you want to.
Okay.
That's awesome. Wow.
And so that's one big thing that I think stands out above maybe like if we go back and look at like what can it do, what are they be able to do there with more finances and space and this and that
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
really works.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that's it with theming and setup.
Yeah. What about attractions?
So attractions, the number one, like you hinted at, would be Crush and Gusher whenever it was that it opened back there in 2002 or 2003. I think you
Might have been-
thought, and I don't remember exactly.
Somewhere around there. I might be off by 2 or 3 years.
So water coaster, is one of the first of its kind. This idea that you're gonna, for those who don't know, sit on a raft and go both up and down. That they're gonna use this jet propulsion system to push you up with the water.
And they do use a jet propulsion system. Some of the newer ones are using magnets,
magnets and
electromagnetism to
Yeah.
whip you up on your ascent, and then just gravity brings you on your descent. Which,
Cool ride.
is that about it? It's a cool ride, cool concept. Something that you can't get everywhere else.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of how to, wait it out. But in my mind, it's not that special.
There's nothing super big about it. I've seen on-ride videos of it. It's very short. You have like 3 turns, maybe 3 or 4 turns that you get.
It was one of those times where you stand in line for a really long time to ride something, and you've also heard all this stuff about how great it is, and it's the first of its kind, and this and that.
It's the big one.
And it leaves you
Wanting more.
disappointed and wanting more.
Okay.
Still really cool. Like, glad I've done it.
Yeah.
When we do go there, absolutely getting in line, not skipping it whatsoever. But
How long would you say you would wait for this one?
I think we were there. I think we got there at Park Open. We weren't like at the front of the line at Park Open, but
rope
by
drop.
the time rope drop happened and they started scanning people in, we were there, walked through. We were in line probably within 15 minutes of rope drop by the time, we scoped out a spot, put on sunscreen, this, that.
Got everything
And I think
ready.
we waited still at least 30 to 45 minutes.
Wow.
Oh, man.
I mean,
How long would you wait for it now if you just went on a day and was
20.
like... Okay.
20, maybe 30. I mean,
That's still worth it.
because once again, if I'm there, I'm going to do it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Whereas, but for Summit Plummet, I'll wait 45 if I have to.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
It's,
It's your big one. Your
it's
go-to.
my big one. I guess the big thing I'd say about Crush and Gusher is it better than your typical, like, raft quote, tube slide? Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But is it so far and above that when I could go ride something somewhat similar and wait a third of the time, maybe ride it 3 times,
And for you, it's not. It's
for
not
me,
there.
it's not there.
Okay.
One of the really cool things that to me is not as much an attraction for people at Typhoon, but does make it stand out, is the shark reef that you can swim in.
Yeah, one of my friends is actually from the Orlando area, and he goes there and he says the water there, it's crystal clear, but it's freezing.
It is super cold. They put you in like, if I remember correctly from when we did it last, they put you in like a wetsuit type kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we waited probably 20 minutes. It doesn't have as long as wait a line. I mean, they need to get you in stuff. So really, I mean, it doesn't really feel like much of a wait by the time you're getting your gear on and this and that.
And you're in it.
But I think it freaks people out a little bit.
I actually
cool.
did this. This is one of my only memories from Typhoon Lagoon.
Yeah.
I was absolutely terrified. I mean, granted, I was about 10 years old.
Were you warming the water a bit?
A little, and I was swimming as fast as I could because if I remember, it's kind of a linear pool.
Yeah,
and so the idea is you kind of keep moving forward. And I was like, I'm out of here. And I just freestyle swimmed as fast as I could to the other end. I'm like, I'm good. I'm out.
Saw some sharks. Swam with some sharks.
Yeah.
Did I do it?
I'm done.
We're good.
That's how it definitely was the experience for one of my brother-in-laws, Josh, who did it. We were talking about this the other day that I was going on to do this podcast, and Jake, the youngest one, was like, I didn't do that. He's like, I knew, I forget whatever he was at that point, like 10 or something. Like, I knew I wasn't doing it at that point. I don't want to get in that. I'm pretty sure Josh did it, and then my father-in-law too, and then my other brother, Zach. But it was a really cool experience that you don't get
anywhere else.
else.
Yeah, that's really unique to water park.
Yeah, it is. It's very unique to a water
So
park.
I mean, you'd be unique to any
experience really anywhere.
aquarium or anything I
Yeah.
can think of.
Yeah, I think aquariums are starting now, are now starting to let you swim with some sharks and just like kind of peruse up above. I think they might have some fiberglass laid or some plexiglass.
Yeah.
Sorry, laid right there, kind of blocking you from sharks. So you're in no real danger.
Yeah.
But you're not in any danger at
No,
Typhoon
because these
Lagoon
are,
either.
if I
These
remember right, they're fairly small.
Yeah,
as scared as I
think
was.
I think the biggest ones maybe were like 3 to 4 foot nurse sharks, which aren't gonna.
They're not gonna bite
They're not
you.
gonna attack you.
Yeah, they're not putting you in the water with great whites.
And I don't know what I don't know what they're doing to keep them, but I'm pretty sure they're using some type of system. Whether I don't think it's plexiglass, but something to keep them down low.
I
too.
think if I remember,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was some
If there's
system
made
in
some type
place.
of-
You could see it just barely, but
some type of even
a
if
net
it's
or something.
sonar or something like
Yeah.
that, like something to keep them at bay. But really cool experience. The other one that's kind of the big one there is their wave pool is the largest by far in the world.
Yeah.
And it mixes in both, I think, 6-foot crested waves and like bobbing waves, whereas in comparison to the wave pool over at Blizzard Beach is just bobbing waves the whole time.
Okay.
And so a lot of people really like that about Typhoon, that it has these two different types of wave systems that are going in the same wave pool. Once again, how big it is, it can hold way more people than the one at Blizzard Beach.
And when they do 6-foot waves, a lot of wave pools, they're starting to transition more into doing several 6-foot waves at one time, or several big waves at one time.
Yeah.
Does Typhoon Lagoon do
Yeah,
that, or
so
do they
they're
only
like-
just do one and done?
No, so they're doing a few. I can't remember exactly what the count is.
I think it's probably like, I think with that system that they have right there, because the way the system works is it fills up with water and then it just drops it all at once,
Yeah.
and then it causes a massive influx of water into the pool, and then it just brings it out. And
Yeah.
So it takes time to fill it up.
to fill it up,
I
and
think
then
you can
send it
get
back out.
I think you can get about 10 to 12 waves with their size tank and their size pool.
The only reason it might be more, and this kind of plays in with that, and I'm not sure, so I may should have done a little bit of research looking at that before we came on, but
We're amateurs here.
that's all right. Everyone's got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah,
But one of the cooler experiences with this, if you want to put up the money, is you can do surf lessons and go in early in the morning. So if you want to do a group lesson, it's $165 separate from park admission, etc. If you want to do private lessons and kind of like a private surfing excursion, it costs anywhere from $1,100 to like $2,100 or $2,200, depending on time of year, day of the week, etc.
Yeah.
And I think the system might be able to put out max, and maybe this is different from once they're doing the waves like during the day,
Yeah.
25, because
Okay.
there's something about like you get 100 waves, and it says something about like on the website 25. Like you'll do a 25 set run, take a break, 25.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming but at the same time, I mean,
They probably give you time to recharge. And
yeah,
stuff.
recharge and also right, you don't obviously take.
Yeah, you don't
Boom,
hit
boom,
one
boom,
wave
boom,
back
boom,
back
boom.
to back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then, what is? I know they have a few body slides over at Typhoon Lagoon.
Yeah,
How are those?
They
how are
have
those
body
going?
slides. They're not as big as like Summit Plummet.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly like what their great naming is for them.
I'm sure it's punny.
But it's probably really punny. But they have the typical same things then outside of those 3 or 4 main attractions. They
Okay.
have, I think it's Castaway Creek or something like that, or Castaway.
Yeah, they have their lazy river over
Yeah,
there.
their
and they
lazy
have
river, just like the lazy river over at Blizzard Beach.
Very similar kind of style.
Yeah, I was
kind
trying
of
to-
experience.
I thought they had different. I thought it was something different that it was named though, because I was thinking more of the family toboggan ride that's
yeah.
over at Typhoon Lagoon. Is themed per se, maybe a little more than the ride at Blizzard Beach, going back to Teamboat Springs,
Yeah.
but it's a third of the length. It's not nearly as long. It's only a 4-person ride.
Oh, okay.
And so depending on how big your family is, depending on
You're going to split up a bit.
You're going to split up a
You're
bit.
gonna
This and
do
that.
stuff. Yeah.
I mean, which obviously there's people with plenty more than 6 in their families too for Teamboat Springs, but
Yeah.
6 provides a better option and also a longer ride once again with the family.
That's true. Okay, so you said you liked. I mean, that's basically it as far as attractions go for Typhoon Lagoon. Those are the main ones that you can.
Those are the main
get
big
to.
ones that stand out in terms of like these are our, kind of
the ones you have to hit if you go.
the ones that you're going to have
regardless
to hit
of
if you
how
go.
long wait times are.
Correct.
So then, how's the food there?
So food for both is, you're pretty typical. This is when you talked about dining last week.
Yeah.
There are not nearly as many options per se as there are like in the parks. There are for each of the places, I think like 6 to 8, and most of these they're all quick service.
Okay.
So you're just walking up and ordering, and either they're handing it to you. I think at all of them, maybe a couple of them, depending on if there's a really crazy wait time, they might have you sit at a nearby table.
Yeah, and then they'll bring it out for you.
And they'll bring it out for you and then take it back to your seat or eat it like a picnic table there. So, burgers, fries, hot dogs, pizza. Over at Typhoon Lagoon, they stick with the theming a little bit. They have one place that serves up like some fried catfish, I think, and shrimp or some type of fish.
Yeah.
At
Blizzard Beach, do they have snow cones?
Blizzard Beach, they have, all of them have ice cream. Blizzard Beach has rice bowls. I'm not sure where the rice bowls come from. I think it's just, giving a healthier option. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
But,
you always got to have some variety in a park.
The special thing over at Blizzard Beach, though, and they might have this over at Typhoon Lagoon, but we've never got them there. They're our staple when we go to Blizzard Beach, is they've got these mini donuts that are really good.
Those are heaven in any theme park.
Yeah, well, exactly. So, but usually we get there at rope drop. We go, put on sunscreen,
grab some donuts, and
go do Summit Plummet, and then come back down and grab donuts. That's usually about the way that goes.
All right, so that's about it for water parks. Would you say?
Yeah. I think that pretty much sums up. Over at Typhoon Lagoon, there are, same thing. They have kid areas, not quite as big.
Yeah.
Not as much split up either, kind of for the really little kids versus maybe those
under 48
before teen, whatever.
It, yeah.
There's some other probably special name that I'm missing there for them. But so yeah, those are the main things. The Lazy River at both are pretty long, like usually like a 20-minute ride around.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty long, actually.
I think it's 3,000 meters at Blizzard Beach and 2,100 at Typhoon Lagoon. So the one at Blizzard Beach is a bit longer. But when it comes to a Lazy River, I don't know if length matters per se quite as much.
You could float around in circles.
Yeah.
Is all really a Lazy River needs to be. But
exactly.
that's still really cool that it's that long.
The only thing I really like, and unless I've missed one before or not seen it, there's a really cool Sorcerer Hidden Mickey on the one of the bridges at Blizzard Beach.
Yeah,
nice.
As you're going along the Lazy River.
I think I've seen video of it, and it's pretty cool. It's really nice looking.
Right in a rock formation, the natural rock that they've used and then put in.
Yeah,
it looks really cool.
All right, so then we've done water parks, we've done mini golf. You ever been to Disney Quest before?
Done Disney Quest. We didn't do it this time.
Just really quickly, do you think it's worth it? Do you think...
If I'm doing water park fun and more, absolutely.
Okay.
So for those of you who haven't gone, once again, it's kind of this interactive themed area.
It's basically a virtual, or it's a lot of video game-esque rides and attractions.
As well as like original cool video, old arcade style video games.
Yeah.
So it's cool. We've gone in and done a lot of the old arcade style video games, played a good amount of pinball in there. One of the really cool things they have is Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, I think is what it's called, is like the full name. And basically you're in what looks like Buzz Lightyear boxes / spaceships.
Yeah.
And you have a driver and a shooter, and you go over these basically dodgeballs. And it's like bumper cars with a dodgeball element. If you hit the other cars in the right spot with the dodgeball,
they kind of freeze for a bit.
They freeze and start spinning.
Okay.
And so that's a really cool experience.
Awesome.
That's a really cool experience in there.
Maybe that'll move over to Toy Story Land then, since Disney Quest is closing.
I really hope they
crossed.
keep that somehow somewhere, because that's one thing when we go in there, and that's super exciting to do.
Okay.
They have some other cool like animator labs. They have
a lot of simulator stuff, don't they? A bunch of like what do they call it?
Hyperspace Mountain, I
Hyperspace
think.
Mountain is what they call it. No,
No,
it's
that's
not, 'cause
that's the
Star Wars layover at
Yeah.
Disneyland. They just call it Space Mountain. There's some other name
Virtual-
with
yeah.
Space
Virtual
Mountain.
Space
they call it.
Mountain.
Virtual
Yeah,
Space Mountain or
Virtual Space
something.
Mountain, yeah.
That's pretty cool. The coolest thing is this Pirates of the Caribbean experience.
Oh yeah.
That uses a 3D screen added with kind of like the same kind of pole system from Toy Story Mania.
Yeah.
Where you have someone captaining the boat and driving around, and other people shooting these other boats as you drive around.
Oh, that's cool.
And so that's a pretty cool experience. The boat bobs back and forth as you're going, and you get hit, and it jostles a little bit.
Oh,
so that's kind of cool.
A lot of reaction with that one.
Yeah.
All right, so Disney Quest, worth it if you're doing water
Yeah.
park and more.
I don't
If
remember.
you're going before it closes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I looked the other day. I think now they've extended
Isn't it
sometime to
sometime-
2017. I'm not sure when.
Probably when Avatar opens up, just so they can quietly close that down and be like, hey, but we have Avatar Land
Maybe.
over here.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So, okay.
That'd be convenient timing.
Yeah. Does that just about do it?
I think so. Well, Wade, thanks for coming on. Because, again, this was stuff that we either... I haven't done the water parks in years.
And I've never been to water parks.
And same with Disney Quest. Neither of us have ever been to Disney Quest. I looked up some videos once because I was curious to see what it was. I had no idea.
Yeah, the only time I went to Disney Quest was to pick up my tickets. Because one of the times when I wasn't staying on property, I just
You had to go to
had to go to ticket
window
window right there and pick it up.
Have a customer service experience.
Yeah, those are fun.
And the mini golf too. You've really intrigued me now. I think because we're talking about probably going to an extended trip next year, and I definitely think we'll probably do the water park and more option at this point.
So that's one of those things too, right? So when we go, we always do park hopper, because usually when we go, we don't. This was our shortest trip in a long time, and we went for 7 days still. And so, we usually try to do 1 or 2 parks, hit a water park for a day to kind of break it up a little bit. Like I said, usually when we do Blizzard Beach, we're doing winter, summer, one of the 2 courses there in that same day. And so, we get 1 water park and 1 mini golf in, and it's almost paid if you look at that price point per doing each of those things.
No, absolutely. Once you broke it down for me, I was like, wow, that makes sense. Because I've always just looked at the whole number and gone, is that really worth it? But even if you just go once to a water park or, like you said, twice to mini golf, you've paid for it at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Well, again, thanks for Wade for coming on, and
thank
we
you.
really appreciate your insights, and
We hope to have you on in future episodes.
If I'm
talk
lucky.
about some other stuff. Yeah,
Maybe. Yeah.
If smarter people don't start tweeting you back and following you, and whatever. But let's get those numbers up.
Yeah.
That's
Man.
right.
What are those
Let's do
again?
it. Low.
I was talking
Right now.
about the handles so that people can
Oh,
follow.
well, that's what
and-
we're going to do now.
Yeah, we're
All
getting
right.
into there. We're getting into there.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to episode number 3 of the Unmistakably Magic Podcast. Don't forget to check out our social media. It's at Unmistakably Mag on Twitter, Unmistakably Magic on Instagram, and of course Facebook.com/Unmistakably Magic.
We did open up a spreadshirt this week.
Did you put the graphic up?
Yeah, I got some shirts up. Got some. I think I put a mug up there too. If you want to.
Ooh, a mug. I need a mug.
Yeah, man.
Get my classic Epcot here.
Give it a break a bit.
That's right. Don't forget to email us any questions, comments, show ideas, anything else you want to talk about. Unmistakablymagic@gmail.com.
Yeah. Feel free to critique us as well.
Yeah, if you got some ideas for us, let us know.
Yeah.
Big thank you to our friend Dylan over at Blast Off Branding for making our awesome logo. If you guys haven't seen the new logo, we're kind of debuting it now, as we've also hit iTunes here soon.
Yeah, we are up on iTunes right now.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
It's fantastic. It looks real good, real great. What do you think about it, Wade?
I think it's good. Anytime you can get other people coming in and working and, cross branding with other people.
Yeah. It's always beneficial.
Don't forget to check out our friends over at the Unmistakably Star Wars podcast.
And a huge thank you to Wade coming here and helping us out with this episode. We couldn't have done it without you.
Thanks for letting me come.
Yeah,
It was
bringing
fun.
your expertise. We
Hope
really
I get to
appreciate
come back.
Hope
Absolutely.
you enjoyed it.
A few more debates, maybe. I can tell you had different opinions on Animal Kingdom and
A little bit.
Little Red coming back to Far Ride.
All right, well, have a magical week.
See you real soon.